The day before the wedding, I somehow gained the ability to read minds. So, what's up with my super quiet girlfriend? As usual, after I sent her a long message, Emily just replied with an "Oh." Seriously? Would it kill her to say more? She always looks grumpy. Who's that face for? But no matter how annoyed I am, there's nothing I can do. Our families pushed us into a relationship, and after 3 years of half-hearted dating, they rushed us into marriage. Yep, we're getting the marriage certificate tomorrow. Why didn't I resist this arranged marriage? 2 reasons. First, I really don't have anyone I'm interested in. If I'm marrying someone, it might as well be someone who matches my family status. Plus, she's a rich heiress. Second, and I know this is selfish, Emily is really pretty. Even with that permanent scowl. But just because she's pretty doesn't mean she can just get away with having an attitude, right? It's like I have no clue what I say to make her frown. And she treats me worse than she does her dog. I glanced at the message I sent her again. If we really have to, let's just get the certificate tomorrow. Our families are so set on this. Shouldn't we just play along? Just go with it for now and see how things go. At least it'll keep our parents off our backs for a while. I assumed her "oh" was a yes, so I added, "See you at the marriage office at 9:30 tomorrow." When she didn't reply after 10 minutes, I didn't think much of it. I took a shower, and when I checked my phone again, there was a new message from her. "Come out." I looked out the window and sure enough, she was leaning against her car, a cigarette giving off little red glows. The dark night made her skin look even more pale and clear, though her slightly furrowed brows showed her impatience. I resigned myself to it and headed downstairs, only to trip and fall in front of her. My head buzzed for a bit, but I didn't care. I grabbed her outstretched hand and thanked her out of habit. Why is the girl I've dated for so long still so formal with me? Wait, who said that? It's Emily's voice, but she didn't say anything out loud. He looks cute when he's clueless. I want to pinch his cheeks. What should I say later? I'll pick you up for the marriage office, or let's go to the marriage office together tomorrow. Which sounds better? The first one is more assertive, the second is gentler, but not my style. What the heck? Is that Emily's inner voice I'm hearing? With my stunned expression, Emily stubbed out her cigarette and tossed it in the trash. Then she walked over to me. We just stared at each other. Don't stare at me. Don't let me blush, Emily. Then I saw a hint of red spreading on her cheeks. Wow, it really is her inner voice. Is she actually blushing? The vibe was too weird, so I hurriedly said with her inner voice in mind, "Let's go to the marriage office together tomorrow. You can pick me up." Usually, I'd be the one driving her, but no way. I failed my driving test 3 times already. She looked a bit surprised. "He's going to the marriage office with me." Oh my God. What do I say back? I couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? You're adorable. 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be downstairs at your place. Emily tossed that out and walked away. If I hadn't spotted her ears turning deep red, I'd have thought she was mad. Sitting back on the couch, I started to think, isn't Emily supposed to be all icy and aloof? But hearing her inner thoughts made it seem like she might have a thing for me. No way. I clearly remember hearing her tell a friend back in college she wasn't into me. Am I dreaming about these thoughts? That night, I dreamed of when Emily and I first met, back in freshman year of high school. Emily and I were in the same grade, and she made quite the entrance at the start of school. Apparently, she was the most beautiful girl the local high school had ever seen. Growing up, I often heard about Emily's parents from mine since our families are close, so I had inevitably heard about Emily too. But our family lived and worked in another state for a while, so I hadn't met her officially. When I found out I'd be in the same class as her, I was a bit nervous, to be honest. I got to the classroom before most people and could feel a few eyes on me. I wasn't bad looking, but my social skills were average, which might have made people a bit jealous. Emily arrived later, after most had seated themselves according to the roster displayed on the screen. She made her way into the room while everyone got to know each other, and for a moment the class went silent. She and I ended up sitting together. Maybe she'd heard my name from her parents because she hesitated for a second when she found her seat. As she approached, I said, "Your name's Jimmy, right?" "Yeah." With that, she sat down beside me. Trying to be polite, I greeted her, "Hey, nice to meet you." She gave me a sidelong glance and just said, "Mm." And that's how I came to know her. We were classmates for a year before parting ways in sophomore year when classes split by subject choice and we no longer shared the same floor. I would often hear about her, though, like who got into fights over her. Humph. They never did that when she was sitting next to me. Or the rumors she was dating someone. She never confirmed it, but everyone kind of knew because she was hardly ever seen with any other guys. If she was, they were probably dating. That year, we were pretty close, closer than any of her rumored boyfriends later on, oddly enough. No one ever gossiped about us, though. My trip down memory lane got interrupted by a phone call from Mike. Guess who I saw outside the office? Who? Richard. He's back? The news shook me awake. Richard was Emily's alleged boyfriend from sophomore year through college. Everyone talked about how they were inseparable in high school. Then he left the country, and people assumed they'd broken up. I heard when those two broke up, Emily was down for a while. Back then, I had just managed to win over my crush and was basking in happiness, so I didn't check in on her. But now, the thought of heading to the marriage office with Emily had me feeling antsy. I really hoped her old flames wouldn't come and bother us. Back in college, when Emily and I were classmates, Richard was an annoying presence. I went downstairs at 9 a.m. sharp, seeing the familiar car in person. Right on time, I said, expressionless. I never run late, she replied, also without expression. No way I'd be late for marrying Jimmy, right? Wait, did she really just agree to this, or am I catching her thoughts again? This is too wild. It's like I'm in a novel. I stared at her starting the car. Ugh, he's staring at me again. Emily, keep your cool. Show some backbone. He's just Jimmy, even though he's cute, handsome, and super fit. Let's just get going. I coughed awkwardly. If I listened to her thoughts any longer, I'd be blushing. The whole ride, I was puzzled. Hearing Emily's thoughts, it seemed like maybe she kinda liked me. Wild move because aside from our time as so-so classmates, we've only been sort of forced together. There was zero reason for her to crush on me. Dang, Jimmy smells nice. Did he switch shampoo? Sitting there all quiet, he's adorable. Surrounded by these strange thoughts from her, we eventually got to the marriage office. Walking out with our marriage certificate, I felt dazed. I was really married. To Emily. This feels surreal. From the corner of my eye, I noticed a couple taking a selfie with their marriage certificate, beaming in the sunlight. Emily noticed too, and asked, "Want to take a pic?" I really did. We hadn't taken a picture alone before. What? A selfie? Sure. Just like that couple, we took our first picture together. Pedestrians buzzed by us at the entrance of the marriage office as this young couple, certificates in hand, captured the start of their marriage journey. After getting the marriage certificate, it was time to move in together. Once all our stuff was placed in our new home, just for Emily and me, I was beyond exhausted. But Emily's skills around the house were actually impressive. If only she didn't have such scattered thoughts sometimes. Whoa, this thing is heavy. What even is it? Oh no, why are we done unpacking so fast? I wanted to take longer to do this. Looking at this woman who appeared mature and stable but was actually a mess inside. Or should I say, my wife, I couldn't describe how I felt. It's like realizing that your longtime favorite shampoo was actually a conditioner all along. Leaves you spinning. I realized she liked me. But when did this start? Was she just putting on this distant act back then? Had she liked me before I mistakenly fell for someone else? Thinking she was too cold? All done, she said. Yeah. Why is he so cold? He's my husband now. For a moment, I thought she spoke aloud. But it was just her thoughts again. Thanks a bunch, Emily. Worked hard on helping me unpack. Huh. He called me by my full name, but he's my husband now. Does that mean I should start calling her wife as she wants? Holy cow, can't do it. Might as well start chanting prayers. Buddha save me. I quickly changed the subject. Feel like grabbing lunch? Yeah. How about Xianghui? They're known for their Hunan dishes. I love spicy food, and the place is a favorite of mine. Emily and I seem to bump into each other a lot there, too. But I noticed Emily's brow furrow. Maybe she doesn't like it? Better offer something milder. But I really want to go there. Emily finally suggested a Jiangnan restaurant, coincidentally located right across from Shanghai. How bittersweet. Still, the food was really good. Emily's taste never let me down. Well, except for that weirdo ex-boyfriend of hers. He confessed to another girl while dating Emily, and after moving abroad, sealed the deal with yet another girl. Emily seemed to have wasted some time grieving that whole mess. Unreal how I never imagined her being down about anyone. Somebody probably stretched the truth. Done eating? Emily asked as I set down my chopsticks. Yeah. It was delicious. Hubby just praised me. Praised her? How? My place can't serve bad food, right? Her place? Luckily, I was smart back then. I picked a spot with a decent view, set up a lighter restaurant to sneak peeks at my hubby across the street. Emily opened a restaurant just to watch me? Cold Queen turned out to be a love-struck romantic. Who knows what other surprises she has for me? I stayed in shock all the way back. What did you think of that place? She asked, which snapped me back. I thought, didn't I already praise it? It was great. Quick, ask who owns that restaurant. Help me, who asks about the owner just because a meal tasted good? But I did it anyway. Who's the owner with such great taste? Creating a spot with fantastic ambience, diverse dishes, and amazing flavors. Must be the best Jiangnan restaurant I've tried. Stillness followed my outpour. It's nothing special. I co-own it with a friend. Didn't mean for it to be a big success. She shrugged. Seriously, does she have to downplay herself? No, you've got vision and ideas. That's you, all right? My husband gets me. Love him so much. Thank you. Now I'm embarrassed like a schoolboy. We made it back to the apartment. Our bedrooms sat side by side. No clue why, with 2 bedrooms each equipped with a bathroom, she picked the one without an ensuite. But when I opened the door, the sight of a stunning beauty fresh out of the shower explained it all. That toned midsection, okay, stop looking. He's staring. Glad I didn't go with the room with a bathroom. Ugh. Shouldn't have wrapped the towel so long. This was her luring me. Dang dangerous. Bang. I slammed the door and touched my flushed face. Jimmy, get a grip. Stop acting like you've never seen a woman before, I thought to myself. I quickly lay on my bed and started chatting with Mike. Me, I gotta tell you something. Mike, what's up? Me, I think Emily likes me. Mike, really? Didn't you say she wasn't into you? How'd she start liking you? And do you still like her? Me, I have no clue how she started liking me. I'm not even sure about my feelings for her now. I used to like her, but now, I just don't know. Mike, so, she's over Richard? Isn't he single now? Me, I dunno. Mentioning Richard made me feel down. I used to like Emily, but she was into Richard. I didn't like Richard, but I have to admit I was really jealous of him back then. Now he's back and single again. Even if Emily likes me now, can she really forget her intense first love with him? I'm unsure of my feelings for her. But whenever I think about her being with Richard, I feel that old sting, just like when I heard rumors about them back then. Emily's attractive and smart. She seems indifferent, but she's really kind. I often saw her feeding stray cats at school or confronting bullies and helping an elderly fruit vendor near the school pick up fallen fruits. That's the kind of person she is, cold yet warm. Back then, I secretly admired this rebellious yet kind girl. The next morning, I opened my door and out stepped Emily simultaneously. I noticed Emily's sleepy eyes perked up when she saw me. Awake? I thought to myself. He shares the same sleeping schedule as me. We shouldn't disturb each other if we ever share a room. Wow, that escalated quickly. Sharing a room? Seriously? Morning, Emily, I echoed her thoughts. Breakfast together? Sure. Then silence. So, where do we eat and what are we eating? A little guidance, please, Your Highness. How about we try my cooking? We spoke at the same time. I was stunned but intrigued. Emily's cooking for me? She can cook? You can cook? Yeah. Since when? Never heard you could. Just before. For you. What? Maybe my surprised expression was too obvious because Emily looked puzzled. What's up? Oh, didn't expect I'd ever get to eat your cooking, so I'm honored, haha. Are you in a rush for work? No rush, got an hour. When I picked this apartment, I ensured it was close to both our workplaces. It's a 15-minute drive tops. watching Emily head to the kitchen. Her thought for you cleared any sleepiness I had. Why would Emily learn to cook for me? What other little secrets does she have? Starting a business and cooking. What else has she done for me? I tried hard to contain my sweetness, playing it cool as I moved to the dining table. Shortly, a steamy bowl of noodles was in front of me. Simple tomato and egg noodles with a fried egg on top. I carefully tasted it. It was warm and delicious. It might be the first time I had breakfast she made, or maybe it's our first day living together, or maybe it's the company. But I devoured it. Thanks, it's great. As I cleaned up, I heard her thoughts again, unexpectedly. Such a weak compliment. Humph. Surely, my empty bowl says how much I liked it. Do I need to write a mini essay to show my appreciation? I wasn't thorough enough earlier. These noodles are amazing. The flavors are spot on, and the noodles perfectly springy. The tomato balances the dish, making it perfect for breakfast, light and not greasy. Delicious. I just whipped it up. It's not that good. If he likes it this much, I'll cook him breakfast every day. I must be a good wife. Good wife. Back in high school, I talked about marriage with classmates. When asked about my future wife's traits, I remember saying, she should be pretty, in shape, kind to me, and a good cook. Emily is undeniably beautiful. Her body, from a fleeting glimpse last night, is quite nice. Since discovering I could sense her thoughts, I've realized so much kindness she's shown me without my knowing. Her cooking is wonderful. In my mind, she qualifies as a great wife. Did she hear what I said back then? That was ages ago. Did she hold onto those random requirements? Has she been eyeing me since then? I'd be lying if I said it didn't move me. But maybe I'm just imagining things. After all, many people think a cooking partner makes a great spouse. I couldn't help but feel a growing warmth inside. Emily, what's behind your affection? When did it start? Why were we so distant for so long? With these questions, I rode with Emily to work. Thanks for the ride. Take care. Emily kept her eyes on the road and said, Jimmy, we're married. Yeah. I mean, you don't need to thank your wife. Cooking and driving you are normal. Got it? I wanted to say I understood, not only that I don't need to be formal with you, but also, I get your affection. Okay. I'm considering telling her about this mind-reading thing, but not just yet. I got out of the car and walked into work. My job's at the family business, around since my grandpa's days. Lots of familiar faces in the company. I don't really have a knack for business, so I've got a pretty chill position. The family wasn't thrilled about my stubbornness, and there were arguments. Being the only child, they expected more. Grandpa and Dad are big names in the industry. But then there's me, only wanting to drift along idly since middle school. Size. The adults wanted me to learn from Emily, and in high school they were really pushing for us to get together. And guess what? They kind of did make it happen. I can't even remember why I first had a crush on Emily. We met at the start of freshman year. Emily was always a person who got a lot of attention, no matter where she was. Within a few days of school starting, almost all the guys knew about her, the new ice queen. Some paparazzi-style photos of her spread around the school forum, and since I sat next to her, I ended up in a few of those snapshots too. Before I knew it, my name was popping up all over the forum. Who's the guy sitting next to the pretty girl? He's good-looking too. Why does he look so cocky in every picture? His name's Jimmy, right? I know him. He totally acts like he's above everyone, only talks to Emily in class. Ah, come on, he's just a good-looking guy. Oh please, is good-looking all you care about? And just like that, my name was everywhere. But honestly, I didn't pay much attention to the school's forum. Who goes around reading school gossip? By the time I realized I was being labeled as the cocky guy, it was a week later. That's when I met Mike. He sat in front of me. One day he told me he'd stood up for me online, and I was clueless, so I asked what he meant. He was shocked by how out of the loop I was. When I found out, I was pretty pissed. I didn't bother anyone, so I jumped onto the forum to argue back. Apparently, my anger was pretty noticeable, and even Emily picked up on it. She asked me, "What's up with you lately?" For some reason, maybe because she always got mentioned by my folks or she seemed reliable, I decided to spill the beans. I told her everything, and I could see her frown as she pressed her lips together, saying she'd take care of it. By the next day, or maybe the day after, those posts vanished, and our names were rarely seen on the forum again. But you know, teenagers and gossip, they didn't stop. After that, everything about Emily turned into just KK. And that's when I started casually checking the forum to keep up with Emily's life post-class shuffle. As the workday was wrapping up, I could feel my coworkers getting anxious to leave. Or maybe it was just me. I was itching to be the first out the door when my phone lit up. Almost done with work? It was Emily. I replied, yep, nearly out. Ready to sprint for the exit. Emily, I'm almost there. There? Picking me up? I asked, like arriving at my building? Emily, yeah. Me, cool. I'll make sure I'm the first to dash out so you don't wait long. Emily, no rush. How could I not rush? I didn't want to stay a second longer. As soon as the clock hit the magic number, I bolted, only to bump into an old acquaintance at the elevator. Long time no see, Jimmy, said a familiar face with a smile. Yeah, it has been a while. You haven't changed much. True enough. But Richard looked different. More stylish, nicer clothes, and even more handsome. You never thought I'd be back, huh? Pretty much. Is that all you've got to say? Definitely. Honestly, I had nothing else to say. I wanted to let you know I'm back. He was really waiting to tell me he was back. Got it. Don't get too cocky. Wait, how was I even cocky? Okay, maybe just a little. Watching his expressions shift through a rainbow of emotions amused me. Picture his face running a color wheel and I couldn't help but chuckle. It was a bit awkward to laugh. If there had been a gun nearby, Richard probably would have shot me on sight. Jimmy, honey, did I just hear two voices? Next, I watched Richard's expression switch from you owe me $5,000 to you just gave me $5,000. This guy could totally do a face-changing act. I turned and saw Emily walking toward me. It was Emily. Did she really call me honey out loud? Crazy. Sure, I'd heard it in her heart before, but publicly in front of the ex-boyfriend? Bold move. Emily stood beside me. Honey, didn't you say you'd rush out as soon as work's done? Oh, Emily, I wasn't trying to be late. Just ran into an old friend here. Finally, Emily glanced at Richard. Emily, it's been a while. I'm back, Richard started, looking all sheepish, which I was far from thrilled about. Keep it together, man. I'm her official boyfriend here. But then a tiny panic hit me. This was Emily's first love. What if she's still hung up on him? Would she go back? Emily, you don't remember me? It's Richard. Emily interrupted. Annoyed. Who? Both Richard and I were stunned. She repeated, yeah, you're the one who delayed my time with Jimmy. Who are you again? Man, this was her first love. Emily, haven't you forgotten me? Richard's eyes started to get teary. I'm Richard, Emily cut him off, giving Richard the cold shoulder. Who? After she spoke and seeing no reaction from Richard, she dragged me out of the company's door. Emily opened the car door, let me slide into the passenger seat, then closed it. It was all one swift move. Given the vibe, I thought something dramatic like rekindling old flames, with teary eyes and all, would happen. Though Richard did have teary eyes. Didn't you recognize that guy just now? Emily paused for a moment, and my heart sank. Should I know him? Oh no, maybe he's some friend of Jimmy's. No, I don't have friends like that. That was Richard. Your first love, buddy. Your friend? No, not my friend. Richard was your ex-boyfriend. I couldn't hear her thoughts then, but from her expression, she seemed as confused as I was. Ex-boyfriend? Yup, that was your high school first love, Richard. She frowned like she'd realized something serious. Guys, I'm puzzled. What first love? Do I even know him? Of course. Your desk mate in sophomore year. Oh, I vaguely remember. He's the one who told me Jimmy was dating someone. Thinking about it still annoys me. He was my desk mate for like half a semester. I would have forgotten him if you hadn't mentioned him. Besides, I didn't want to sit near anyone other than Jimmy. I'm seriously clueless. But everyone thought you two were dating. From sophomore year to college, you only broke up because Richard went abroad. Who said that? Who's everyone? Apparently, Richard hinted at it. When someone asked how it was sitting next to Emily, he said she was awesome, even fought for her. Mike told me all this, of course. After that, the rumors of them being together started. I thought Emily got into a relationship, so I just stopped focusing on them. I mean, seeing your crush date someone else is never easy. Couldn't let my heart get hurt. Though I did crush hard on a college senior for a bit. That tiny crush made me feel like I found a lifeline to stop liking Emily. I started pursuing the senior, but I wasn't being a jerk. I genuinely thought I liked her. But once I started dating her, it just felt weird. She was great to me, but I never felt a spark again, and then we broke up amicably. That's when I understood that fleeting feelings can't compete with years of having a crush. I snapped back to reality, realizing Emily was staring at me. You always thought I liked him? Richard. Okay, not the point. Yeah, I always thought you liked him, you were crazy about him, you had to break up because he left, you couldn't forget him. I don't like him, I never had a first love, I never dated before marrying you. Emily paused, looking as if words were on the tip of her tongue but said nothing, eventually just sighing. Then she started the car, and the scenery began moving backward. I thought the topic had died down on Emily's end when she spoke again. Is that why you stopped talking to me afterward? Meanwhile, Emily's thoughts played in my head. Jimmy, did you distance yourself because I was with other guys? Or because you disliked me? I froze, instinctively wanting to respond but stopping myself just in time. If it wasn't because you disliked me, maybe you liked me? How can I get you to not act like there's a barricade between us? How can I make you love me? Felt like fireworks were going off in my head. Everything odd since marrying Emily suddenly made sense. She cooked for me, drove me to work, even opened a restaurant for me. Emily didn't just suddenly like me. She's always liked me, just as I liked her. She loves me. Emily loves me, just as I love her. I love her, not because I can't let go or because I never got her, but simply because I love her. And she loves me. We mutually felt the same, and that's why we got married. Not because family pressured us. Not because there was no one else fitting. Not due to those blatantly ridiculous reasons I tried ignoring. I overlooked the fact that Emily's feelings and marriage wouldn't be dictated by family. No one could make her do anything unless she wanted to. Emily's always been someone who'd rather not settle than settle for less. I overlooked every deliberate attempt to keep distance, where Emily would cautiously ask why I wasn't talking to her. I even overlooked the day I started dating the senior. When Emily got drunk, she said she was heartbroken because her crush was with someone else, not because her boyfriend Richard left her. I overlooked so much. I didn't have time to dwell deeply. I needed to tell her before I was completely swept away by overwhelming joy. Emily, I don't hate you. I like you, I always have. Thanks for the invite. Currently in the hospital after just having a car accident. I can't believe my confession was so intense it caused Emily's hand to jerk and crash into a tree on a mostly empty street in the Villa district. Is crashing into trees the fate of every clueless pig? Emily, you dummy. Maybe because her mind was full of thoughts, she wasn't driving fast. Thankfully, our injuries weren't severe. Emily had a mild concussion. After a round of checkups, my parents rushed to the hospital, relieved to know Emily and I were safe and sound. I walked into Emily's hospital room to find her searing gaze pinning me, making me uneasy. As I sat by her bedside, her head wrapped in gauze, she silently stared at me. Is she planning on keeping quiet again? I waited to hear her thoughts, but after a while, I heard nothing. Did I lose my ability to read Emily's mind? What you said in the car. Emily finally broke the silence. Emily, there's something I've been keeping from you. I laid out the whole thing about hearing her inner thoughts all at once. Emily seemed to believe me. Her expression shifted from confusion to realization, and her ears and neck turned deep red. Can you really hear everything I'm thinking? Yeah. So, when you said that thing in the car, it was a response to my thoughts? Yup. You don't hate me? Her question sounded more like a statement. Nope, I never hated you. You like me? Yeah. Just admitting it like that, I got a little shy. Emily suddenly hugged me. Her warm breath tickled my ear. Then she buried her head in my neck like a sulking golden retriever. Why didn't you tell me? Emily asked, still muffled. Sorry, I always thought you liked someone else. Then I thought, why am I apologizing? You didn't tell me either. I only knew because I could hear your thoughts. When did you start liking me? I really wanted to know. That's a secret. still acting all high and mighty. Emily froze for a moment, then sat up and looked at me seriously, saying, "I'll tell you later." I was going to say, of course, we've got so many laters ahead of us. But before I could say it, Emily said to me, "Jimmy, I love you. Will you be my boyfriend?" And just like that, a few days after getting married to Emily, we started dating. Even though we were already married, it was our first time being in love for real. We only dated for 3 years though. Why, you ask? Because I proposed to her during the 3rd year. Proposing while married, that's something you don't see every day. She asked me if it was necessary since we already had the marriage certificate. I sheepishly told her I wanted us to experience the real journey from dating to marrying. By the end, my ears were bright red. A few years later, our little one was born. It was our 5th year together when we had our adorable son. Whenever we reminisce, Emily and I both feel grateful for that magical mind-reading ability. Thanking our lucky stars that it came to me, allowing us to figure each other out quicker and save time. It's our 7th year of marriage now. Anyway, gotta run. It's our anniversary and I've got a date to keep. Extra, Emily. Jimmy thinks we first met during freshman year, but actually, it was way earlier for me. My dad was like those strict dads who believe in tough love. Honestly, I think it's nuts. Many parents are quick to pull out a stick, but since we're well off, my dad usually favored a golf club. Back then, just like many middle school girls, I was in my rebellious phase, defying my parents and causing all sorts of trouble. I remember one day after arguing with my dad and getting a beating, I had nowhere to go. While wandering aimlessly, I saw a boy bullying another boy. From my angle, the bully seemed to be shouting about something. Let's call him Redface. Redface seemed really mad, even angrier than I got after my dad's whippings. In my bad mood, I wanted to watch the scene unfold, maybe step in if needed. Quietly, I crept closer, hiding nearby. Redface was pointing at the other boy, loudly scolding him. "Dude, we're about to start 9th grade, and you're dating? That girl clearly isn't serious about school. Get a clue. But she's really nice to me." The other boy mumbled defensively. I was dumbfounded. "She's nice, so you're dating her right before exams? What good does that do? She doesn't help you study or ace your exams. Are you oblivious to her reputation? Do you even know how many times she's dated people?" Turns out Redface wasn't really bullying, but giving his friend a much-needed reality check. Couldn't help but side with Redface there. As I drifted off momentarily, their conversation changed, talking about ideal partners. The other boy eagerly asked Redface, "Jimmy, I'll break it off with her. Do you like anyone?" "Yeah, I do." My curiosity piqued. Who could Redface like? But I'm not telling you. The way they spoke, it brightened my day despite the post-beating mood. Before leaving, I stole a look at this Redface guy. He's pretty handsome. I didn't realize he'd stick in my head from then on. It wasn't until freshman year started that I found out Redface was Jimmy, the guy my parents couldn't stop praising. That day, he came to my city just to set his cousin straight. Never forgot his face over the summer, and spotting him right away was quite surprising. I'm not one to remember people or things unrelated to me. Heck, I can barely remember stuff I should. Though my dad praised Jimmy before every whipping, I didn't despise him. Quite the opposite. I spent my whole freshman year secretly following him. He was always in the corner of my eyes except during class. I watched him chat and laugh with friends, watched him battle tough problems. Why were such ordinary things so captivating? I couldn't figure it out. I just wanted to watch. That was until one day he mentioned the forum post. I was mad but also guilty. Why guilty? Perhaps it was because of a comment on that post. I think Emily and Jimmy are a great match. With such a handsome guy around, Emily must sneak glances at him. They guessed right. That's when I realized my feelings for Jimmy. Maybe I had liked him since that fleeting glance in junior high. Maybe being desk partners in high school made me like him more. Or maybe his playful nickname OJ made it sound endearing. But those things weren't what mattered. What mattered was how he felt about me. I've been a quiet, reserved kid since young, never one to spill my heart. Like many teens, I just didn't know how to let him know how I felt. Until the end of sophomore year, we were going separate classes. I mustered all the courage to secretly slip a note into his pencil case. I like you. Do you hate me? Emily. I was anxious yet hopeful, waiting for his response. One day passed, then another, and by the time the new semester started, he still hadn't replied. I got my answer. I spent the whole sophomore year feeling down. The classmate sitting next to me with the last name Chun never stopped chattering. It was so annoying. So annoying. So annoying. Later, I heard from Chen's gossip that Jimmy had a girlfriend. I still remember how I felt, like I was hit by a ton of bricks. It hurt, and I didn't know how to face Jimmy. We hadn't seen each other for a while. Maybe he wanted to distance himself from me. So I went along with it. We didn't meet again until the college entrance exam. I missed him but didn't dare to disturb him. After the exam, Chun confessed to me, saying he wanted to attend the same university. I just felt irritated with everyone around me egging him on. I left saying, I don't like you. Much later, Jimmy told me there were rumors about me and Chun, saying I was head over heels for him. I almost laughed out loud at those ridiculous rumors. It wasn't until much later that I found out Jimmy had thrown away his pencil case after the first-year finals. It was his yearly routine. I couldn't help but find it absurd. Wasn't that pretty inconvenient? At a sophomore class reunion, I heard Jimmy was dating someone. This time it wasn't a rumor. He was actually in a relationship. That night, I drank a lot, trying to numb myself and get over the silly man, but it didn't work. During my foggy haze, someone asked me, Emily, you went to the same high school as Jimmy, right? You guys really seemed like a good match. Ever had feelings for him? All I remember was being overwhelmed by frustration and saying, he doesn't like me, and I don't like him either. Why could he date normally while I was stuck in this mess? Why did I have to like him so much? Why couldn't he like me even a little? What I didn't know was that Jimmy happened to be nearby, dining with friends, when he overheard what I said. Sigh, we missed so many chances over the years. But maybe the universe took pity on us. My parents and his parents kept trying to set us up. By senior graduation, we officially got together, supposedly because of our parents. Honestly, I was over the moon, but I couldn't show it. So, I just quietly did whatever little things I could. I knew he liked that Hunan restaurant. I can't handle any spice, but I drag my roommate there every time, hoping for a coincidental encounter. After graduation, when I was finally with Jimmy, there was a shop up for rent. I took the chance and opened a restaurant. I also knew Jimmy hoped his partner could cook, so I secretively learned from my family's cook. Unfortunately, Jimmy, being my boyfriend, always seemed distant, so I never got the chance to cook for him. Our relationship remained lukewarm for 3 years. Then our parents urged us to get married for 2 years. One night, Jimmy suddenly suggested getting the marriage license. It was something I never dared to imagine. A wish come true. We were supposed to leave for the marriage office the next morning. I was so excited that I wished I could fly to his place right then and there. Waiting for him to come downstairs was torturous. I had no idea how to explain why I showed up at his place all of a sudden. I watched him come down and he slipped a bit. From that day on, he seemed closer to me. When I found out he could read minds, I was stunned. Emily, you embarrassed yourself big time. But then again, what was so embarrassing? I had laid my true feelings out for him. If he didn't feel the same, I'd continue to hide them and quietly be there for him. If he liked me too, he'd slowly open up to me. Thankfully, he liked me too.